Morning, Mark from the Lawnologist. How are we? Here for another renovation today at a farmhouse with quite a thatchy, mossy lawn. But we have a slight issue today in as much as it's going to chuck it down rain at some point soon. Look at that sky. So there's three of us on today. There's me, there's Simon, there's Johnny, and we are going to take care of some business here in Ipswich and try and get this lawn done to the best we can. The key is going to be to get a wiggle on before it rains, because I don't really want to deploy top dressing in the rain when it's wet, because it's a bugger to spread. So I want to stick you straight onto time lapse, and we're going to crack on, the three of us, and get this job done. Adios. So this is the lawn, a little bit of red thread going on here, plenty of thatch. When we first picked this up, this was actually really mossy and really patchy, so we've actually done a fairly decent job of giving these people a lawn for the summer, and we got it back a little bit. But however, now is the time to get rid of the thatch, the subsurface thatch, and introduce some new seeds, and just to get it looking healthy now, ready for spring. So there's Simon doing his thing there with William the mower. Johnny's run off somewhere to go and get Alan, I think, which is our new mower. And there's Johnny, and we are going to crack on. So, this lawn, I'm just taking a core sample out of here, just to give you an example of what the soil's like. So it's very compacted, very clayish. It smells like clay, very tightly bound. Now, that's a bad thing in some ways, because what it means is it locks in nutrients when it's compacted, which this is. More importantly, I want to show you the thatch on top. So this is a core sample of the lawn. You can see here, there's quite a bit here, spongy subsurface thatch. A little bit's not too bad, because it actually protects the soil and protects the root zone. But we do want to cut into that and just thin it out a little bit today. So that's part of the reason for the renovation, is that we're just going to thin this out, and then with the fracture times, when we aerate before we seed, that will fracture this root zone underneath like this, creating holes that will then create for a better gaseous exchange, a better water exchange, and that will also release some vital nutrients that are locked in within this clay soil. So that's the reason behind why we're renovating this lawn today. Stick you back on time lapse, and you can watch a bit more mowing. So we've had to take the unusual step of we had to stop mowing and start scarifying early, simply because we need to thin the grass out, because again, as always, like I have, there seems to be so much lateral growth and mowers can't cope with cutting too short too soon. So we're now just scarifying and thinning out the lawn so we can continue mowing. So minor setback, but not an issue. There's three of us here today, and we can very quickly rattle through this. So I'm going to crack on, pop you back on time lapse, but you can already see how much stuff's coming out of that lawn already. Never ceases to amaze me. Anyway, I'll catch you in a bit. So as luck would have it, the rain is now just starting to spit, which is what I wanted to try and avoid. But we're kind of running to schedule. The lawn's been a bit of a bugger really, simply because it's so full of creep and bent grass and lateral growth that we haven't been able to get a good cut on the lawn without scarifying it first. So it's now had, it's on its third cut, it's had 2 passes of the scarifier. I'm I'm kind of hopeful we can do one more pass of scarifier, and we can then start thinking about aerating and seeding that lawn, and then getting it top dressed with Brian, our power top dresser. At the moment we've got Simon and Johnny in tandem. I'm just going to turn around and show you. So Simon and Johnny are working in a contraflow system where Simon's on level 3 on the mower and Johnny's following up on level 2. So whilst we're getting some nice stripes, it means that we're kind of double whammy in the cut speed, which is helpful. Once we've got this done, we can then, as I say, scarify one more time in the opposite direction, and hopefully by then we're going to be ready to aerate, overseed and top dress, and maybe, just maybe, we shall beat the weather. But let's keep our fingers crossed. Right, okay, so now down to our final pass on the scarifier. As you can see, there's far less thatch coming out. We've broken the back of it. I'd still like the grass level down a notch lower, actually, and the reason being I just want to open up that soil and get a little bit more kind of air to that soil, because it's very dense bent grass, but looking good. I'm sporting a lovely raincoat. We've just had a flurry of heavy rain, but we're sort of back in the game again now, and I think that's going to be the flavour of today, is sort of rain and then not rain and then rain and not rain. But we have to power on because we're running such a tight schedule this week with different renovations backed up that we can't let the weather stop us, and that's maybe one of the downsides this time of year for a lawn care business. Is we're so busy, work volume is so dense that you can't really have any hiccups. You have to kind of work around them. So as it happens, we are running really on time today, so it's looking good. Once we've got this last pass done, we'll put it over again with the mower just to tidy it up, and then we're ready for Bertha to do her thing and to aerate the lawn. So stick you back on time lapse, and I shall crack on. So scarification has been completed. We're now just doing the final mow, and it's more just to get some nice stripes into the lawn and just to pick up any chaff we left behind. But we're now ready to aerate with Bertha. So Bertha's going to make an appearance very soon. One of us will aerate, the other one will seed, and then we'll get Brian out and we'll start top dressing. That will be then the job complete. We have made good time. It makes such a difference when there's 3 of you as opposed to 2 of you. Even though poor old Johnny is recovering from COVID, he's been a massive asset today. And as you can see, that lawn is already looking more level, it's more consistently cut, and there's no lateral growth, which is the one thing that does my head in. So, we'll stick you back on time lapse now for the final stint of this renovation, and I'll touch base with you at the very end. Adios. We're now at the very end of the renovation, and we've got Brian over there. We'll start top dressing the lawn. We're gradually popping bags of forward and top dressing fill for compost around the lawn to allow us to then use Brian to evenly spread it in. And that will also drag in the seed at the same time. So that pretty much is the renovation complete. Stick you back on time lapse so you can watch Brian do his thing, and I'll be back very shortly. So that's us done, just as the heavens opened with lots of heavy rain. We managed to get Brian finished. It's just starting to rain as we finish the top dressing. See, when Brian gets wet, he clogs up, and it kind of makes the whole process fairly futile. So I'm just so pleased that we managed to get the job more or less complete prior to the heavens opening. Now, all that remains now is just to do a pre-seed fertiliser on the lawn, just to kickstart it into growth, and that is us signing off. From Mark, Simon and Johnny, adios.